Today, I'm covering the top 10 most valuable Jimmie Foxx baseball cards from the 1920s and 1930s. A few oddball releases that you might not be familiar with, so make sure to stay tuned on this video to see all the different cards. Now, with that being said, if you don't know who Jimmie Foxx was, one of the best power hitters in the 1920s and 30s. He had 12 consecutive seasons of hitting 30 plus home runs. And when he retired, he was second all time in home runs behind the one and only Babe Ruth. Oh, and he won 3 MVPs and a Triple Crown. So definitely a fantastic player for the era. Now, before we go into this top 10 list, I do want to mention that Jimmie Foxx baseball cards are kind of interesting because he has 3 different first names on the cards. Some of the cards you're going to see is Jimmy with a Y, others Jimmy with a IE, and also others with James. So just be aware of that if you're looking through some products in the 1930s and you see the different name variations, it is all going to be Jimmie Foxx. That being said, let's start off with number 10, which is the 1932 US Caramel. Now this set featured more than baseball players. You can find golfers in there like Bobby Jones and boxers like Jack Dempsey, but baseball players were the majority of the set. A 5 goes for about $1,800. Up next, we have our only modern card on this list, and this is 2001 SP Legendary Cuts autograph. This is his first ever pack pulled autograph card. Last sale I could find was back in 2016, which that sold for $1,700. 1933 was a very popular year for sports cards, and our first one on this list is the DeLong set. Now, the DeLong company only produced one baseball set, unfortunately, but that design is very iconic, as many other brands have been inspired by it. Now, with Jimmie Foxx, if you're looking at a 3, right now they're about between like $1,000 and $1,300. An 8 has sold consistently over 5 figures. You're going to be looking between that $12,000 and $15,000 range. Probably the most popular Jimmie Foxx card you might know is the 1933 Gallity, but you might not know he has technically 2 different cards in the set. The way to tell, there's a little bit slight design difference, but on the back, he has one that's numbered 29 and one also numbered 154. They have gone up a lot in price over the last year or 2 years. Now, a 2 in the 33 Gallity is going to be between $500 and $750. It really depends on the eye appeal side of things. What's kind of interesting is there was an 8 of both number 29 and 154 that recently went to auction. Now, the number to 29 did $40,000, which is a crazy amount. However, the number 154 eclipsed 6 figures. Another 1933 release is the Uncle Jack's. Found 2 different color variations of it out there. There's a blue 3 that sold for $1,000 and then also a red that sold for $1,200. Before we go into the honorable mentions, I'm asking you guys, please subscribe to the channel if you enjoy more content like this, as well as weekly card show vlogs and a weekly series on how to spot fake sports cards. Our 3 honorable mentions, we're going to start off with the 1933 Warch cigars. 4 sells for about $500, whereas a 5 goes for about $1,200. Another 33, what a surprise, the Tattoo Orbits. 3 goes for about $500 and a 6 goes for about $870. I have seen this card at shows multiple times. It isn't too scarce, and you can find these typically in higher grades than some of the other sets out there. And the last honorable mention, no, it is not a 1933. It is actually 1936 Worldwide Gum. They are out of Canada. The last 5 sale was $600. If you know the set, it has one of the earliest Joe DiMaggio cards and is really, really expensive to acquire. Back to our 1933 run, we have an R306 Buttercream. The last 2 of this card sold for $1,000, and these are pretty narrow compared to other cards in the era. In the 4th spot, we have the 1934 R304 die cuts. This was actually one of the most expensive Mellock cards, if you remember watching that video. For Jimmie Foxx, though, not as much love for this one. The 6 sold for $2,200 back in 2020. Before we jump into the top 3, if you guys want to see even more Jimmie Foxx baseball cards, we have an article. The link is down below in the description and also the comments. Much more in here that we could not cover within the video. Our final 3 cards, one of the ugliest sets in my opinion, the 1933 George C. Miller. 5 sold for $3,200. In the number 2 spot, we have the 1929 Lindy Theater Photo. There was a 4 MK that sold all the way back in 2010 for $3,000. Good luck finding one of these. Hey guys, this is after the video, but I just wanted to give you a heads up on the pricing on this Lindy Theater card. So One of the things I do when I try to research like top 10 lists is go through PSA and find some obscure releases that I'm not familiar with. And I saw this one sold lastly in 2010, Huggins and Scott auction for almost $3,000, right? March 2010 auction for MK. Well, I was going to grab a photo and I saw another listing on Heritage, and this same exact card again sold in 2015 for $1,900. So obviously the seller took a loss. The card went down in price. You can see that offers to date $3,700, and that was in October 27 of 2015 as well. So I don't know specifically where this card would be valued at. It still might be number 2, but that evaluation, there's a more up-to-date one. So wanted to give you that information. And lastly, what many people consider the Jimmie Foxx rookie card is the 1926 through 29 exhibits. Now there's a few different variations of these based off of the tints. A 3 standard without a tint sold for $3,000 a few years back. A 5 blue tint sold for $31,000. If you guys want to learn more about 1930 superstar player cards, make sure to watch this video right here of Melot's top 10 most valuable cards.